Morning, everybody. Welcome to Fast Cars, Fast Money. It is Andrew here, and we are talking NASCAR. It's Sunday morning, so we are back with another video. So this weekend, we are talking about COTA, or Circuit of the Americas. If you're an F1 fan, this is probably your favorite race of the season. But we are looking at this slate. We want to approach it a little bit differently than we did for the last 2 weeks, which were drafting style tracks. So we're doing something completely different. We're going to a road course. And yes, finishing or place differential upside is still important, but it's not nearly as important as it was on the drafting style track. So really, the core focus for us this weekend is around finishing upside, finishing potential, and trying to roster drivers that you feel like can either win the race, finish top five, or finish top 10, basically, regardless of where they start. Now, yes, if we can get some additional place differential upside in there with guys that we think are going to finish towards the front, we want to prioritize those guys or guys that we feel like might lead laps. Yes, we want to prioritize them. But really, to simplify it, it's really just trying to click on six drivers you think have, top 10, top five, race winning upside. Um, how are we going to find those drivers? It's really looking at, the COTA history. We've run four races here so far. So how have these drivers done at this track in the past? You can also look at practice and qualifying and just general, road course history, regardless of what road course it was. So when we get to the driver by driver breakdown here, we got two guys that are priced pretty high. Same thing that we saw with the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. I keep on saying the Xfinity series, but we got SVG and Connor Zillage. So SVG won that race. Not really too much of a surprise there. Zillage had some brake issues, or he probably would have been more in the mix there at the end. But when we talk about the Cup Series, SVG has been in a class of his own, just completely dominant, the heavy favorite by far. He's very expensive, but for good reason. He did win the race yesterday. He does give you some place differential upside starting 13th. However, if you do click on SVG, you are really kind of relying on him to kind of carry your line and perform well. He is very expensive. Zillage, even though he doesn't have a ton of cup history, he has shown that he's really good on these tracks as well. Great speed. He's expensive, not nearly as expensive as SVG, but he's still, $1,500 more than the next guy on the slate, which is William Byron. SVG and Zillage are going to be very popular. They're going to eat up a lot of ownership. Both of them have really good finishing upside and good place differential upside, and that's kind of the combination that we're looking for. So I like both of them. I don't think you need either of them, in DFS lineups. I don't know if I'd necessarily play them together because it kind of limits and restricts your line, but I am going to definitely have ownership to both of those plays. Um, but don't overlook, William Byron. If everyone's clicking on SVG and Zillage, Byron could be a guy that gets overlooked. So I really like him a lot for tournaments. He actually has the best driver rating if we look at just COTA specifically. He has one win here, three top fives in those four races with 71 laps led. And also just ranks really high in road courses in general, where he has a top five in the last 10 races, which is about half of the time. So really like that. Really like the money you can save with going Byron over SVG or Zillage. Christopher Bell, another guy I really like a lot too, especially for tournaments. He has a win here, just like William Byron. And behind SVG, he actually ranks the highest on road courses if we look at the last 10. He's finished top five in seven of those 10 races and has the best average finish behind SVG. Reddick's another guy, so really the first six drivers on the slate I'm very high on. Maybe that's not super helpful, but all kind of for different reasons. So Reddick comes in looking to make history, trying to win the first three races of the season. He's a really, really good shot at it too. We know how good he is on road courses, just like Byron, just like Bell. He also has a win here. He's finished top five in all four COTA races. And he does have, the track advantage, the track position with earning the pole. So I really like all these guys. I think you can kind of sprinkle and mix them together, play different combinations. Um, I like Larson too. However, if we compare Larson to the other guys he's priced around, he just doesn't have the track history here that makes me feel confident. So COTA, for whatever reason, has not been kind to Larson. He has not finished in the top 10 once over the four races here. Now, yes, he is pretty good on road courses in general, so maybe he's able to turn his luck around. But if you're looking at just history and that data, there's a lot of other drivers that are priced around Larson that I would probably go to before I'm clicking on Larson. One of those guys is going to be Chase Elliott. So it's crazy to say, but Elliott has not won on a road course since 2021, which is surprising. However, his numbers are still really strong, so by no means is he bad at these road courses in the next gen car. Um, he's usually running inside the top 10, usually competing for top fives. Starting fifth might keep his ownership down a little bit more of a tournament play, but he does have that finishing upside that we are looking for. Briscoe's going to be the first guy on the slate. I'm just really not getting to, with me being so high on everyone else up here. One or two drivers are going to get left out. That's going to be Chase Briscoe for me. AJ Allmendinger, he's okay. Kind of a good finishing potential upside play. Not really that much place differential upside. The problem with AJ is he usually has really good pace in the race, but he just doesn't always get the results to show for it for one reason or another. But his pricing has continued to drop over the years because of that. So I really like the value there. Again, a little bit more of a tournament option. Busher has been a top 10 machine. We say that every single time we get to a road course. He has eight top 10s in his last 10 road course starts, average finish of 7.6. Starts 14th. Really, really like that play, especially if we just rely on, recent form and history with him. Ross Chastain, wouldn't have thought that he would be the highest qualifying, Trackhouse car. Um, but with everyone talking about SVG and Zillage, Chastain is no slouch here. In the four COTA races, he also has a win. He has two top fives, three top tens, average finish of sixth. And he's a lot cheaper than the other, Trackhouse cars. So really like him as a potential lap leader, especially if he can get out front of Reddick. I think he'll run well. He should finish near the top 10. Starting second limits him a little bit, but really like the value that you get for his price tag. Kyle Busch, really good at COTA. Ross gives you a lot more lap leading upside, but KFB gives you a lot of place differential upside. In his four races here, he has two top fives and three top tens with an average finish of 11th. If he can just maintain that average, he's going to score very well today. Bowman's another guy I like too. So I like him a lot for tournaments. I feel like a lot of people are going to click on Kyle Busch and maybe Bowman gets overlooked a little bit. But if we look at Alex Bowman, he's finished top 10 in all four of the COTA races with three top fives and an average finish of 4.5. That's pretty good. Like I said, I think a lot of people are going to click on Kyle Busch, so maybe Bowman gets overlooked. Really like Bowman for tournaments. Um, Gibbs is another guy, kind of like Briscoe. I just, I can't get to everybody, so I gotta, lower and get the player pulled down. Gibbs is just a guy I'm just not really getting to. McDowell's kind of in that same boat as AJ Allmendinger, where good value for where he's priced, good speed. Don't really love the position he starts, but he should kind of maintain that running position and contend for a top 10 today. He was also quickest in practice. So that is a positive. The negative is he doesn't have a top 10 finish here over the last four COTA races, but we know how good he is on the road courses. A guy that I was kind of surprised a little bit with was Ryan Blaney. He's not really known for being a road course guy, but he's definitely getting better. But he was actually fastest on the 5 and the 10 lap averages and backed it up in qualifying fourth. So maybe you can kind of take a flyer on him. I would put him in that same category as McDowell and AJ Allmendinger, a guy that could, based off speed, might be able to contend for a top 10 today. Um, Logano's kind of tough to get to. Average finish at COTA has been at the 20s. If you look at the last 10 road courses, he averages around a 15th place finish. He's okay, but that's all I'm really getting from him projection wise is okay. And I think you can either pay up for guys that have more upside or pay down for guys that are a little bit cheaper to save you some money that I feel like have just as much upside of Logano or potentially even a little bit more. One of those guys being Austin Cindric. So Cindric does have two top tens in the last four races. We have run here, gives you a little bit more place differential upside. Denny Hamlin, kind of the same thing as Logano. No top tens in the COTA races. Not really known for someone that runs well on the road courses in this next gen era. Just a guy that doesn't really project that high for us. If you do need some value plays, though, I really like going to Ryan Preece and Daniel Suarez. Preece has been getting a lot better on the road courses. If we look at the last 10, he has an average finish of 17th over those last 10. And like Cindric, he's pretty affordable, gives you some good place differential upside. Really like the value that you get there. Suarez, I think he's another good value play as well too. You get some more place differential upside with Preece. Preece actually has better stats if we look at the last 10 races that we've run on the road course. But if we look at practice this weekend, the Spire cars were all very fast. So we said Michael McDowell topped the charts in single lap. Suarez was also top 10 in the 1.5 and the 10 lap averages. Um, and if you're not playing Priest or Suarez, like who are you really playing down here? There's not really a ton of guys I love. Yes, there's some guys that start deeper that give you more place differential upside, but I would argue Priest and Suarez are probably the best combination of place differential upside with finishing potential. Um, Suarez starts 12th, a little bit too far forward for me. Good pace out of this car, but I'd rather lean on Priest and Suarez. Bubba Wallace is pretty affordable. He's actually second in the point standing, so a lot of momentum behind this team. He's getting better on the road courses, an average finish of 16th over his last 10, so he's not nearly as bad as everyone says he is, or he, will say himself. But he's not like he's a stellar play. But starting 24th, for $6,500 in a car that has had great speed all year long, that's second in the points, that has a better average finish of where he starts. That's a guy that I would definitely consider rostering as I'm building my lineups. Keselowski, there's talk of him potentially not being able to compete in this race just with how physically demanding it is with his leg injury. Sounds like he's going to power through and it's not really a concern, but even with all that, like he doesn't really usually run that well on the road courses, so I'm not really that interested. Once we get to Austin Dillon, he's kind of the same play as Noah Gragson, John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Like all these guys are very slow on the road courses. They back that up with qualifying. They start deep for a reason, but they're just cheap place differential plays. So if you are paying up for your drivers and you need a guy that's not going to kill your lineups, putting in a Austin Dillon, a Noah Gragson, a John Hunter Nemechek, an Eric Jones, a Ricky Stenhouse, like it's not gonna, move your line like crazy, but it's really not gonna hurt your line either. And it's more of just a pure attrition play. And as long as they finish the race, averaging a 25th place finish or something is very doable. If you don't want to go that route, you want guys that have more finishing potential. You want to get a little bit different, probably some lower ownership. I would really look at Todd Gilliland. So average finish of 15th at COTA over the last four races here. He has a 19th average finish over the last 10 races. So yes, that does limit his place differential upside, but his finishing potential is a lot higher than everyone else around him. Zane Smith, somewhat in that same boat. He just starts too far forward. I have a hard time envisioning he can maintain that track spot. Um, Jesse Love, decent speeds in practice that were actually pretty similar to Cole Custer's, where kind of Custer qualified, um, which is encouraging. Limited experience in the Cup car. The third RCR car isn't really something I'm super excited about, but his ownership's going to come in a lot less probably than the guys in the 30s, which makes him a decent, pivot option down here. Custer, maybe you could make the same argument for him with Todd Gilliland. However, his average finish is 22nd on the road courses, which suggests that he's probably going to lose spots. Um, Josh Berry, Ty Dillon, not really known for road course racing, kind of start a little bit too far forward for me. Cody Ware has been the slowest car on track all weekend long. And then depending if you're getting to SVG, if you're getting to Zillich, like they eat up a lot of salary. So if you need a guy to save you a lot of money to still build a relatively a balanced lineup or to get, a third driver that you really like, don't overlook Riley Herbst. He's in a 2311 car. His equipment is much better than everyone else's priced around, down here. He's very cheap. He's $4,900. Starts very deep in the field. He's basically the same play as Gregson, Stenhouse, John Henry Nemechek, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, just for a much, much cheaper. So, um, for me, it's really just kind of mixing and matching these high interest plays, and then depending on how much salary you have left, just kind of rounding out your lines. But that's going to do it for Circuit of the Americas. Thank you guys, as always, for all of the support following along. And as a reminder, we do post content, our picks basically, for the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series on X. It's at Fast Cars FM. If you guys have enjoyed this video, dropping a like, a comment, subscribing is always appreciated. If you want access to the spreadsheet, you can also get it yourself over on X. But yeah, that'll do it. So have a great race, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.